Sup everyone, welcome back to another video, and first let me apologize for the inconsistent uploads. If you guys don't know, I'm currently in China. Firstly, I have to use a VPN to just get access to YouTube and foreign websites. On top of that, work has been hammering me pretty damn hard, so please guys forgive me for the inconsistent uploads. Now let's talk about Fontaine being weird. What do I even mean by that, right? The title of the video might be a little misleading. I don't mean Fontaine is bad. I know a lot of people tend to associate anything that is non-positive for Genshin Impact immediately towards it being negative. I mean, Fontaine is weird both for Hoyoverse as well as it is for the players. Allow me to explain. In my previous video, I had a comment saying, well, Walrus, why should we, the players, consider anything regarding to Genshin Impact from a business perspective, right? We're the players. We're not the business owners. We're not MiHoYo. Why should we care about how Hoyoverse operates as a business in order to process certain things about the game? Well, you see, they make a good point, but at the same time, I think they missed my point. And don't worry, we'll get to Fontaine being weird a little later in the video. Let's start with the fact that yes, Hoyoverse has to run Genshin Impact like a business. No duh, we don't need to elaborate on that, but should the players ever consider the business perspective when we are playing the game? Well, if you think about it like this, if Hoyoverse is the business, Genshin Impact is the product. What does the product do if there's no customers to either purchase or use the product? So in other words, the players here are technically the customers. So while yes, you don't have to really care about the development stuff about Genshin Impact and the product design and the marketing and whatever, but you have to care about how Hoyoverse perceives your role in this transaction, right? You, the players, are the customers. Whether you spend money or you don't spend money, as long as you've downloaded Genshin Impact, you've loaded up the game, you've played it, even if it's for a second, you are technically a customer of MiHoYo. And due to this customer business relationship, you really do want to at least have a very basic understanding of what Hoyoverse is kind of thinking about over there in their headquarters. Now, is this a necessity? Absolutely not. Not all players have to be like, oh my god, I wonder how Hoyoverse is going to be planning their next strategic move as we move into Natlan or ladder into Fontaine. But at the same time, Fontaine is a region that is proving to be quite problematic for Hoyoverse to balance. Firstly, when we look at numbers, right, just raw numbers, character scaling, and character output, Fontaine characters are off the charts. Like, we've never seen characters being tuned up to this degree. Now, I mentioned previously that most likely it's because sales are going down, but at the same time, they need to make characters that are competitive to the Dendro reactions, right? I think we can all agree that the Dendro reactions are just insanely overpowered. They're too strong. And at the same time, old characters like the 1.0 meta carries such as Hu Tao, such as Zhao, right? They're also very strong. So there are these weird middle of the pack characters that exist in between this ethos of, well, they're very hot or handsome or beautiful, but at the same time, they're not too strong or they're very cute, but they're very underwhelming in certain team compositions, either because they're too old or they're too niche or they don't fit into some sort of Dendro team, right? There are plenty of characters that are currently in this category. And of course, there's a couple of them who are yet to be developed, meaning they're likely future metas that will lift them out of this problematic area. So when it comes to Fontaine, sales have been down since the patches leading up to the region. And even within the region, sales aren't looking too good. Now, I know everybody's saying, but Walrus, Furina's coming, the Hydro Archon's coming. You have to give Hoyoverse a chance with the Archon, right? The Archon is going to save everything. The Archon is going to prove to you that Genshin still has it going. Well, currently Genshin has been slipping really far down on the rankings here in China, right? Chinese players are pretty much done with the game. They're so fed up. It's been a year since the last limited 5-star female character, right? Limited 5-star female. Dia doesn't count. She's a standard banded character. The last one was Nahida, and you can't even call that a waifu, right? It's a daughter character. So can you really blame the players for kind of getting fed up here? And now on top of that, the character strength hasn't really been too ideal when it comes to Sumeru. Yeah, Dendro meta characters are super strong, but if you kind of leave Dendro and look elsewhere, they tend to fall off comparatively, and that huge gap in both investment required as well as ease of use has really pushed a lot of old players like, oh, I really need to get the new Dendro stuff to feel competitive, even though, yes, I know it's not a competitive game. A lot of you guys would start to criticize and say, well, that's their problem, right? Like, they want to make this game competitive, but that's just how some people want to enjoy the game. Can you really blame people for wanting to enjoy the game a certain way? You want to enjoy the game casually, right? You want to enjoy the game at your own pace. You can't really blame others for wanting to have a little more competitiveness when the game has such great polished combat system and amazing characters with beautiful lore, music, scenery. I think it's understandable. But you see, this puts Hoyoverse in a very awkward position. Firstly, are they going to continue the power creep? Now, the answer, if you guys have been keeping up with the unspoken information floating around the ethos, yeah, they have to, because they made a certain Hydro Overlord more powerful, stronger, better, faster. And why would they do that, right? It's because they need the Hydro Archon to blow the lid off of this slow pace start to the region. The excitement is not there. This is not Inazuma, where it's the first time we got a new region. This is not Sumeru, where it's the first time we got another element and curious as to how it's going to interact with the previous element. This is Fontaine. What does Fontaine bring? Fontaine brings the Uja Numa system, light dark system. It brings underwater exploration, but it doesn't really breathe a breath of fresh air into the game state. There's nothing of permanence. It's all just decoration that has no permanence. There's no concrete substance for players to look into the future with, right? It's just, wow, look, Fontaine, amazing, underwater, wow, a light dark system. Never seen that before. Whereas the entire Dendro element was something that doesn't exist anywhere in other games, right? It's just a whole new elemental reaction system that is unique to Genshin Impact. Uja Numa is kind of cheap in comparison to a new element. Now, really, people, if you just relax and think about this, what's after the Hydro Archon, right? Everybody's so excited right now. Wow, Furina, Hydro Archon. But then what? Okay, Hydro Archon comes out. There's really nothing that's beyond the Hydro Archon that keeps people engaged and interested in the region. Now, I know I'm being a little harsh here. Yes, there's the story. Yes, there's music. Yes, there's more limited 5-star characters. I know there's some waifus that are coming, husbandos maybe even coming, characters that have not yet been released coming. But come on, guys, let's be serious. If we just look at this from a market perspective, once Furina comes and goes, that's pretty much it for Fontaine. Fontaine has played most of its card once Furina comes and goes, because there's no new element, there's nothing else of permanence. Once the Archon passes, we've essentially peaked for Fontaine. Then comes the slower patches a few more months later, and everybody looks towards Natlin. Right now, things needs to happen that Hoyoverse likely doesn't want to happen, which is release better synergy characters. Open up more characters that have more universal potential. So maybe Hoyoverse, in order to keep the game interesting, has to push out reactions such as Melt, develop the reaction more, give us more options. At the same time, they need to fix Crystallize. Crystallize is dead. It has been dead since the game has released. Please, Hoyoverse, do something about this reaction. You're actually wasting an entire playstyle of the game. Now, a lot of people say, well, Walrus, right? Navia has to do it because Navia cannot be another main DPS for Geo, can it? Well, I don't know, right? Hoyoverse right now has decided that if nothing is broken, then don't try to fix anything. And so far, they're still making good money. Not peak money, but still very good money. So technically, Hoyoverse can choose to just kick back, relax, and let Fontaine just blow right past them, right? Think of Fontaine as like a filler region type of thing. Just be like, okay, right? Throw some story in there, make sure the quality is upkept, and the rest just let it just pass by. There's no need to stress over this right now. We can wait until Natlin, use Natlin to kickstart again the flame dominance, which was back in 1.0, the meta. And maybe Melt would be finally developed in Natlin, and they don't want to do it in Fontaine. The fact that they buffed Furina definitely means that they want Furina to succeed. They want it to succeed as much as we want it to succeed. And trust me when I say this, it is not very common for the player's best interest to align with Hoyoverse's best interest. So I'll leave you guys with this. Do you think Furina is going to set a new record for sales in Genshin Impact, or do you think that ship has come and gone? It has sailed, and now we're in this slow but steady Genshin decline, which is, I mean, it's fine. Genshin has had its glory days, and just like all great things must come to an end, Genshin is and will come to an end. Thank you guys so much for watching. Just like this video, video has come to an end. Please like, subscribe if you enjoyed these type of discussions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, urge you all to stay safe. Peace, bye.